Let's talk about an issue that's come into the news recently and is going to be more in the news in the next few weeks. The legislative delegation is going to start doing some town hall meetings next week talking about expanding the Cullman County Commission to 5 members instead of the current 3. How do you feel about that?
Well, first off, I feel that you know, this has been coming for years, and the reason that it's happening now is it's political grandstanding. You know, we never saw Mr. Little do any town hall meetings until this last year when he knows he's got some competition. And unfortunately, that's not the right reason to do a town hall meeting. I think it needs to be looked at, but I think it needs to be looked at in a way that was not political as I think it is now. I think he's running on the momentum that's going with the Duck River issue right now.
So you're not necessarily in favor of expanding to 5 members?
I think it's up to the people of Cullman County to decide that, and I would allow them to make that decision. And I would provide the opportunity for them to make that decision.
Patricia?
Most systems are run by a water board. The water board may be the best way to go, but whether the way the board has created it was properly, it's up to the courts to decide. But I think that the water board is a very good idea.
How about expanding the current county commission from 3 members to 5 members? This is what the delegation wants to look at.
In Lawrence County, they have 5, and I think this is a very good idea.
I think Cullman County is, what, one of only 3 counties in the state that has 3 commissioners?
The disadvantage to that is 2 people can dictate what goes on in the county, and that's the whole crux of the issue. Do we want to allow 2 people to make that decision, or do we want to allow 5 people to make that decision, or 3 people to make that decision?
Yeah, I was going to say, is there a big difference between 2 and 3?
I think there is.
Do you?
Yeah, I think there is. I think you can convince one person to work with you, I think. To convince 2 people to work with you, you've got to be on the right track. And so I think, yes, I think it's much more difficult to get 3 people to join together as a coalition than it is to get 2 people.
What about the cost? If we add 2 commissioners, how much cost is that going to add to the county?
Well, they don't make that much money anyway. So.
Well, but they'll all want a secretary and an office. And
I mean, they've got to look at that issue. That's something that they'll have to take out of some other service whether they take it out of roads or whether they take it out of water or where they take it. They've got to take that money from somewhere else. And you know, I'm not going to allow them to raise taxes, that's for sure.
But I would also like to say this. This has been a very volatile issue, the water system here in the county. And I've seen a lot of mean-spiritedness going on within a county. And I hate to see within the county, and I hate to see this because we're known for our good, caring people. And I just hate to see this come out. But I know that people are passionate about this issue. And I promise when I'm in office that I will work with the city of Cullman and with Cullman County to bring about the best answer to this problem and the best affordable answer to this problem.
And Dennis, we almost ran out of water a couple years ago, and I think unfortunately we're too many years away from that drought, and people have forgotten how important water is, and so it's a critical issue to this community, and water is going to be the economic engine that runs communities over the next 25 years. If you don't have water, industries are not going to come. You're not going to have a thriving industry because they're not going to be able to provide the water that is needed to run those industries. And so, you know, places like Atlanta where water is scarce now is not going to get the business. We need to move ahead with Duck River. We need to get that thing done. We need to provide a water supply. And if we choose to have a third water supply, that's wonderful. Water is going to be the financial main financial thing that we've got to have over the next 25 or 30 years.
And as Cullman County and the city of Cullman continues to grow, it is imperative that we have a secondary water source.
is this an issue for the legislative delegation, or is the current delegation stepping into something they really shouldn't be?
I think that many years ago, our senator should have stepped in and brought the two parties together. Not that it's a legislative decision, but he has the clout and he has the authority to sit down with the county commission and the city council and say, guys, water is critical to Cullman. It's critical to the people of Cullman. And we need to, as a group, sit down and figure out how to fix the problem. Instead of arguing and yick and yakking back in the newspaper like they did, I think that our senator should have sat down with them and said, all right, guys, this is a problem. This should be your priority.
Basically, they should sit down with the two, the city and the county, and try to work through the problem.
Do I hear you right, Paul, that you're thinking that the state senator should be a leader
Absolutely.
in issues like this?
And especially when it's something that is super critical to the well-being of this community. And you can't come on board at the last minute when you see how the political tides are going and say, oh yeah, I'm for that, or I'm going to help with that. I mean, the issue should have been 10 years ago when this whole thing started, and we could have been done with this at a much cheaper cost, at a much better cost, and without near the political fallout that we had over the last couple months.